When I had the opportunity to start my radio show way back 10 plus years ago, over at the old TSN studios, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a chance. I don't think this gentleman is going to give me the time of day, but I'm going to reach out to TSN and see if maybe I have a shot at having a conversation with Jack Armstrong. And lo and behold, not only did Jack come on, but, you know, Jack, over time, as we've gotten to know each other, you came for a clinic. You, of course, came and did the Raptors when they played the Nuggets back in 2016. That's 10 years ago. That's hard to believe. But I've had the opportunity to talk with you so many times, and it's always a pleasure. And it's especially exciting today after the Raptors dramatic win last night, to be able to have you on. Thanks so much for making the time.
My pleasure, Paul. Always great to join you. And, incredible win last night. And off to Cleveland now for Game 7 tomorrow night. So it should be a lot of fun. But just a phenomenal atmosphere at the arena. It was just absolutely electric, and really happy for the fans that came out and watched it, and the folks that watched it all across the country. It was really a cool celebration, and a young team that's battling right now. You know, you consider the fact that they're missing 2 starters, and Emmanuel Quickly and Brandon Ingram, and Cleveland's at full strength, full health. And to me, it just shows the resiliency and the toughness and the competitive spirit that this group has right now.
Well, it really does, Jack, and I think that can't be overstated at all, because Cleveland has the highest payroll in the NBA, and they've gone all in for this year. And now the Raptors are taking them to 7 games, down 2 starters. Of course, the dramatic R.J. Barrett shot last night of bringing back to the collective memory of all the Raptors fans across Canada of the great Kawhi Leonard shot against Philadelphia back in 2019. But let's talk about R.J. Barrett's impact on this series. R.J., I'm not going to call it a revelation, but I hope Raptors fans are getting a sense for the versatility that R.J. Barrett brings to this lineup and how effective he is, particularly playing off Scotty Barnes.
Well, he's a ball player, Paul. You know, I think the way I describe it, when you look at RJ, and it's funny, I was chatting with his dad, Rowan, last night after the game, and he's your classic guy. If you do a statistical analysis of him, there will be some holes that pop up. If you say, hey, we're going to go to the schoolyard, we're going to choose, we're going to play 5-on-5, shirts and skins, and, we're going to play the best team to 11, best team to 21, whatever it is, and play. I want that guy on my team because he's going to find a way to win. And, some of the things are going to be, he's going to have stretches where he's not the most efficient guy, but it's not the lack of trying. And he is going to be one of the great competitors on the floor. And, look, we had Kyle Lowry in Toronto, and, Kyle Lowry would miss 5-6 shots in a row. But when you needed that 7th one, he was there, and he was fearless, and he was willing to take it and was going to make it for you and make big plays. So, to me, I think there's a special DNA that certain people have that have an understanding of the moment and how to meet the moment and how to be ready for it. And they're not in fear of it. They can live with failure. And that's a big part of this. And he's not afraid of that. He doesn't shy away from it. He throws himself into it. Sometimes he might throw himself too far into it, but that's okay. I'd rather guys like that got to pull back a little than the other ones that are timid, that are and not and not really willing to lay themselves on the line for the greater good. So again, people get too over the top evaluating. They outthink themselves sometimes, and to me, I just think he's that guy that if I need a win, I want that guy on my side rather than the other side, because I know he's going to be one of the best competitors out there, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. He's ruthless. He'll rip your heart out.
Talking to Jack Armstrong, just off the play-by-play last night of the Toronto Raptors victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. You made the statement last night during the broadcast, Jack, that Scotty Barnes has been the best player in this series. Elaborate on that a bit.
Well, there's not even a question about that. To me, I if I had to look at R.J. Barrett and Donovan Mitchell and James Harden and Mobley and guys like that, I might even put R.J. Barrett as the second best player in the series. But there's no question in my mind that Scotty Barnes' impact on both ends. You can look at again, the person that just looks at stats might say, well, Donovan Mitchell this or James Harden this, but watch the game. I mean, you look at Scotty Barnes. The guy is scoring. His playmaking is incredible. His defense on and off ball is off the charts. It's disruptive. You look out there and you go, eye test. Forget numbers, eye test. Eye test tells you everything. And you're like, man, that's the best guy out there between the two teams. His just the force, the intensity, the grit that he's playing with right now, and again, the level of productivity that he's bringing to the table is just at an elite level.
Well, I totally agree with you, Jack, on that. And the connection I would also add in terms of the eye test is when you watch Barrett and you watch Barnes play, the intensity, the focus on every play is there. And then you watch them off the court, and it's talked about a lot in basketball circles now about the importance of team culture. These are two guys that you want as foundational pillars for building that team culture, aren't they?
Yes, well, and it's interesting. A big part of that is buy-in, right? And there's no doubt when you look at R.J. Barrett and Scotty Barnes, they have bought into what Coach Starko has preached to this group, and they carry it out. And when your top two guys do it by example and are living, breathing, people that are embodying what you're preaching and are willing to lay it on the line to do it, it creates great internal pressure on the other guys to live up to that standard. And that's what I see, is that these guys are putting it out there and doing whatever it takes for the greater good. So if you're on this team, you have to carry yourself the same way because they're the best two guys in the room. And to me, I think that's what's so special. There were a lot of skeptics this year about this group in terms of their ability to beat high-end competition. Now, look, this is a 4-5 series. The Raptors were 3-0 against Cleveland during the year. Cleveland's made some nice moves and upgrades since the early part of the year when the Raptors beat them. But when you look at the Raptors Cavs right now, they're 6-3 in 9 games against this club. So there's a pattern there. Again, it's a 4-5 matchup, so the margin of error isn't too much. Honestly, the Raptors were the better team overwhelmingly in Game 5, but they didn't close it. Theoretically, this series could be over already, but it's not. And, Cleveland gets the benefit as the 4 seed to play on their home court. But the Raptors have been, particularly Game 2 and 3, very competitive in those games. So I think come in with great confidence. But when I look at this right now, I think such a big part of it. Someone asked me last night, what's your impression of Cleveland right now? And I guess the word that keeps jumping out in my head is rattled. They look rattled. When you can get behind your opponent's, when you get behind the opponent's enemy line, and like you're meeting them before they even make their move, like you're inside their play calls. You're like they make a step, you're already there. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know, they got to scout it out. You start getting a little jumpy, and you get a little uncomfortable. And, you know, great defense is the disposition to dominate. And I think what the Raptors are doing right now is they clearly have the Cavs on the run. They're rattled. They're on their heels. They're second-guessing themselves. They're hesitant. Now, that can all change tomorrow night very easily because home court, as we know, is important. And Cleveland has so much more playoff experience than Toronto. So this will be a new experience for all these guys to play in a Game 7, you know, one-game season scenario. So it'll be cool to watch. But nonetheless, the totality of 6 games, that what I'm seeing right now is clearly that which team has really created the personality for the series. I would say Toronto's been, what do you call it? Are you going to be the creator of circumstance or the creature? Are you going to lead the parade or watch the parade? And I think right now the Raptors have been the creator of it, and they have to be. If they don't do that, they have no chance of winning. Like, this is the only way they can play to be successful. And to their credit, they're laying it on the line and getting themselves into that style of play that gives them a chance to be successful.
I'm talking with Jack Armstrong, longtime color analyst for the Toronto Raptors, here on Hoop City with Paul Sir. Jack, the fourth quarter in the last 2 games in particular has a spotlight shining on it that the Raptors are having a hard time closing games out. Like you said, in Game 5, Raptors were clearly the best team through 3.5 quarters. Last night, they went into the fourth quarter with a good lead and really had to battle and rely on what you would have to call an act of God shot at the end to win it. But what do you think the Raptors in particular specifically have to do in the fourth quarter if they have a lead or they're real close in order to be able to close it out against this more experienced Cleveland Cavalier team?
Well, easy for me to say it, hard to do it.
Right.
Because you've played this team 9 times and obviously 6 times in a playoff environment. What you run, they're going to be waiting there for you as you run it. So there's no secrets, right? Occasionally there's surprises, but there's no secrets. So for me, I think you have to say to yourself, okay, what are the 3 best actions I can run to generate positive shot opportunities for my team when I'm under duress? I mean, that's going to be, to me, the critical element going into this. If you get into the fourth quarter tomorrow night, you got to look at the personnel that you have on the floor and say, okay, with this group, we're going to run these 3 actions and try to create something out of it. And to me, I think you got to, it's a game of matchups. But I kept saying it during the game last night. Cleveland very help conscious, particularly when Barrett has the ball and Barnes has the ball. So I think you got to create actions where the ball's getting into the paint, and now you're bringing multiple bodies to the ball, and now you're able to kick it out quick and get the ball moving where you get an opportunity at a clean shot. I think as R.J. Barrett got frustrated, they put a lot of size on him. They did that in Wednesday night's Game 5 as well, late, and he struggled. And he doesn't quit on plays. He keeps that bounce alive. And I said it a few times during the game, late, you bring 2 guys to you, get rid of it. Get it to the next guy. Don't let the ball stick in your hands because the clock's winding down and you've done something positive to bring 2 people to you. Get rid of it quick and trust your teammates. And I think the thing that's happening now, that Jacoby Walter has been a very productive third guy, and Colin Murray-Boyles as an option around the basket. and Shed has just been flying all over the place, being really productive. If you're Barnes and you're Barrett, your trust in those guys is growing. But I think, to me, I think your 5-on-5 half-court offense, I said it in the last 6-8 weeks of the season, that's going to define you. That's playoff basketball. And I worked for a guy who was in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, a guy named Tom Penders, who I worked for at Fordham. And he used to always, I thought it was really interesting, when we would play against elite defenses, everything we did in practice was with an extra man, meaning we'd go 3-on-4, 4-on-5, 5-on-6. Kind of like when you prepare a quarterback in football and, you have 5 guys on the offensive line, maybe you even keep a tight end in as an extra blocker. And now, okay, we're going to send 7 at your 6. Well, we're going to send 8 at your 6. And now you got to keep a fullback in the block. And now under duress, that quarterback has to make reads. And, again, we're not playing chess here. We're playing turbo chess. So you got to process and make quick reads. And it's the same thing. I think the Raptors to the Cavs right now, when you watch them on offense, it looks like they're going against 6 guys. And that's a credit to the Raptor defense. I think for the Raptors, when it gets in the fourth quarter, their lack of experience, I wouldn't give the Cavs that much credit defensively that their defense is that elite. It's been a bottom half of the league defense. But it stiffens, and it's got enough experienced guys that they are in the right places at least, so they don't have breakdowns. So I think you really have to be that much tougher, and you got to be decisive in your actions. And therefore, I think you got to say, okay, rather than expand your playbook, you got to have those pet plays in your pocket where you say, okay, we're under the gun. These are the 3 plays we're going to run, and these are the goals and purposes of running those plays.
It's interesting, Jack, that you state it that way, because when in terms of fast-tracking the learning of this young team, the fact that they have had 2 fourth-quarter tight games now leading up to Game 7 gives them the opportunity to learn quicker, as opposed to if they were both blowout games or lopsided games. This has prepared these kids for the fire. Whether they'll be able to respond to it or not, of course, that remains to be seen. But the fact that this young team has played so hard that without 2 of their starters have been able to respond the way they have and create the most excitement that we have felt really since 2019 across the country for this team. This is a real easy team to like, and the way that you've been able to share and break it down for us today is fantastic. I can't thank you enough, Jack, in your very busy schedule for taking the time to be with us today.
Well, my pleasure. And no, it's very exciting right now. It's kind of like I don't know if this group's going to get to the World Series or anything like that, like the Jays. But I think you nailed it there in terms of talking about the 2019 team. And that was kind of an innocent climb from 2014 to 2019. That was a gradual build. So maybe we're at that early stage where you're on that innocent climb where people start to fall back in love with an identity and the personalities of the different players. I felt that last night, and there was kind of a malaise over this team, even though they had a really good year, 46 wins, 5th seed, 16-game improvement, 25 wins, 30 wins, then 46. Coach Starko's done a great job. Yet there was this skepticism because they couldn't beat top 10 teams and like a little cynicism. And I also think there was a hangover in the city from what happened with the Jays losing in the World Series. I think people were so invested in that. I think sometimes people are a little reluctant to have their hearts broken again. So they're holding back a little bit. And I finally felt last night that people were willing to fall in love again. And I don't know if I'm making any sense, but there's it's the old line, your heart knows before your brain. And like I felt it in my heart last night, like the response that after the game of just the fans, and you run into so many of them when the game ends. There was that feeling like, oh my God, this is the beginning of that again. So win or lose tomorrow night, I think mission accomplished in terms of establishing a personality and something that I think you can build on. And, you hope you can build on it tomorrow night and win. And I sure hope that can happen. And if it doesn't, I still think you've built something that you can really hang your hat on and grow with.
You're taking me back to high school poetry class with Father Luke and Jack, and better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. So your point about the hearts being broken after the Jays and reluctantly, but now I think opening their hearts up to this very likable Raptors team is extremely exciting. And like you say, mission accomplished.
I hear you, and it'll be exciting tomorrow night. And again, there's a beauty in March Madness, where it's that one-game season scenario, and you only get it in the NBA and NHL and Major League Baseball when you say Game 7, and here we are. So it'll be a lot of fun. It
really will. Jack Armstrong, thanks so much, Jack, for today. Let's enjoy Game 7 and see what happens, and I hope we can talk again soon.
You got it, Paul. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
You too, Jack.